One of the things that I see happening quite a lot with PhD students that I work with is being stuck in this endless cycle of guilt. And when I say cycle of guilt, I think that many people know what I'm talking about. And that is this cycle of being exhausted and overworked and then not being able to work. So you procrastinate, but then you feel guilty for not working. Then you cannot rest because you're feeling guilty for not working and you're thinking about work. So like you're not resting, you're not working, and you feel guilty all the time. This is basically how the guilt and procrastination cycle looks like. So I want to talk a little bit about that in today's video because I feel that it's something that isn't talked about quite a lot, and I feel it's important to put a little bit of focus there and to explain to PhD students that it's something that 100% of the PhD students that I've met and that I've worked with experience, myself included. So I want to discuss a little bit why does this happen, what are the things that you shouldn't do, what are the things that you should do, and how you can sort of move forward from that point. So the thing that happens here is that guilt cycle, which I feel happens quite a lot because of this false narrative that is propagated throughout academia, which is you have to work long hours, you have to work super hard, you are worthy only if you work, 14 hours, if you spend 14, 15, 16 hours in a lab and so on. And I feel this is a quite concerning thing because it's a sure way that leads to like burnout, and it definitely shouldn't be the norm. And yet somehow it's not only normalized, but in some cases it's also encouraged, which I think is quite problematic. However, when you feel that you are stuck in this cycle of guilt, what definitely doesn't work is to put in more work because you are already exhausted, you are already tired, and it's very not productive. I would say it's not a productive thing to do to really push yourself through the process and work more, because chances are your work hours are not going to be productive at all because you are exhausted. And the first thing that we have to fix is, how do I take out this feeling of constantly being exhausted? And this leads me to the actual solution, because if we think about, okay, I feel exhausted all the time, maybe we can also talk about and think a little bit about what are the things that are making us feel exhausted. From my personal experience during my research journey and the PhD journey, what made me feel exhausted was this feeling of not having any control over anything. Like I couldn't control what my data would say, I couldn't control whether the experiment would work or not, I couldn't control when my supervisor is going to give me feedback, and I remember putting so much energy into these things that I couldn't control. And then at some point I realized that actually I should focus on the things that I can control and the story that I'm telling myself with my research. Because sometimes I remember feeling that my research was all over the place and I just couldn't find a way in which all of that could connect into something that eventually can make sense for a thesis or for a paper. So a good thing and a strategy that I applied on myself, and then I teach and coach my clients how to do that, is basically take a step back and make sure that we put structure in the things that we have. Put structure in your research. What does it mean to put structure in your research? In the very, very first instance, it means that you have to take a look at all the research that you already did and make sense of it. Like, what are my results telling? What are my results? Where are they pointing at? How can I put them together and make sort of the backbone of my thesis or my paper or my research story for whatever reason that I'm doing it, for a proposal or maybe conference talk. So this is the very first thing that needs to be done. And then that is sort of going to give you clarity for the next steps, and most importantly, not give you only clarity, but also a sense of control. And the best way that you can stop the exhaustion is by doing exactly what you said you would do. Sometimes this can look, and these tasks have to be very, very specific, because you cannot say, today I'm going to figure out how this works, because figuring something out might take weeks, months, or even years. However, if you are very, very specific with your tasks, if you are very, very intentional with the tasks that you have to achieve, for example, write section 1 of the, I don't know, chapter 2. This is very intentional and doable and something that you can control. Like you can control your writing process. You can say, I will write this today, but you cannot control the experiment and how it will turn out and when you will figure something out. And these are just 2 examples of how you can make your work tangible that are then going to sort of take that exhaustion out of the equation and giving you some sense of control that is then going to allow you to figure things out and actually rest, to make sure that you can then be more productive when the time comes to be so. So if you're in that stage of your research, feeling completely lost, like you are exhausted, you are stuck, you don't know where to even start from and how to even make sense of the things that you already have, how to put them into a thesis, how to structure this entire thing and put some order to chaos, I want to invite you to schedule a completely free intro coaching call with me. I will leave a link down below in the description. And in that meeting, we can discuss exactly where you're at with your research right now and what are some next steps, tangible and doable next steps you can take in order to get you a little bit closer to the finish line, whether on your own or with my help and support. So I hope that you found this video useful, and as always, see you in the next few days with another video. Bye bye.